Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here, and today is Tuesday. And that's when we take a card from the catalog and we give it a makeover. And I'm using the word we because there's a bunch of us who do this on our Facebook group, and we share our cards afterwards. And guess what? You get to share your card too if you want to. All over on our Facebook group. We have a thread that we start with the card, and you can post your card underneath it, and we can all share our comments on it. And I think it's just a really fun exercise because we have a sketch. So if you love sketch challenges, this is definitely for you. The original sample card is taken right out of the catalog. So if you are in an area where Stampin' Up! Operates many different countries and you have a Stampin' Up! Catalog, you can follow along. And if you don't, we have a PDF of the catalog that everyone can access. And you can check out the page, and of course I'll post it on my blog as well, and it's posted over on the Facebook group. So all you need to do really is just take a look and follow along. And I love this as a challenge. Good morning, Janine. Thank you for joining me. I see a few more of you are on here. Last week I had to postpone for a day because we were taking our son and his girlfriend to the airport. And I'm happy to say, if you follow me at all, our son and his girlfriend, they are doing their co-op terms out in Vancouver, British Columbia, for the fall term. And they are heading there right now. If you live in Canada, they just left Thunder Bay this morning, and they're heading over to Manitoba, to Virden. I don't know that place. I had to look it up on the map. They're heading over to Manitoba today, and they're traveling across Canada. They're going to stop off in my hometown of Kelowna, British Columbia, and visit my mom and my sister. And then they're heading all the way to Vancouver. So they should be there they should be in Vancouver by the weekend, the end of the weekend. So I'm watching on the map and watching along to see what they're doing. It's kind of exciting for them. I've never even driven across Canada. I grew up in Canada. I was born and raised in Canada, and we just never did the cross country Canada journey. But I've been to different parts of Canada. I just haven't driven across it. Anyway, that's just an aside today as I wait for a few of you to come on. Hello, Mary, and hello, Nina. So glad to see you here today. So let's take a look. My goodness, I haven't even pulled up my cards for today on my screen. Let me pull them up right now. Let's grab today's card. Sometimes I think I'm so prepared. Okay, this card's going to come up really big. Let me make it smaller. Let me bring this in. So here is today's card. And you look at it and you think, whoa, like there's a lot going on, but we can really take this and bring it down and make a sketch out of it. And the sketch helps eliminate some of the busyness and helps you focus in on what the card layers could look like. So sometimes what I do with a card is I will actually delete some of the layers of the card to make it easier. So I actually did delete one of the background layers on both the label and the image layer. And you can do so many different things with this card. Like those layers could be designer series paper layers if you don't want to stamp and color an image. There's just different ways to make this a great card. So those are, let me just get rid of those. That's what we're doing. And I'm going to share with you what I did with this card and how I deleted some layers. Hello, Nalita. And Janine is just mentioning, before I go over to share my card, Janine's mentioning that she had a customer from Manitoba Steel. Oh, cool. I've never been to Manitoba, and I have not been to Saskatchewan either. So my son, who's almost 23, he's going to be 23 in just a couple of days. He's seen more of Canada probably than I have. It's probably true. He has. So that's crazy. And I won't even mention my age. So, but I'm definitely not 20 anymore. So anyway, good morning, Marty. All right, let me pop over to my other camera and I'll show you what I did today with my card. So look at this beautiful card. I'm so pleased with it because I don't often stamp people images, but I think something in this stamp set, in the Moment stamp set, spoke to me. I guess it's the little dog, right? So cute. So cute, right? So I just colored them, and I'm going to show you some coloring tips for this image that you might not think of when you're coloring this image. So this is the In the Moment stamp set, and let me just pop my host code up here. And this is my host code for the month. So if you're planning on ordering, and if you order $50 and use this host code, then you will get my gift of the month. And we're almost out of month. Let me grab my gift. Where did it go? So this is going to be this is going to be the gift of the month for August, which will get mailed out in September. These are the adhesive back star trinkets. They will be in the holiday catalog in just, I guess, in about a week. We'll start that holiday catalog, and on the September 6th. And these will be in there, but you can get them as a gift from me if you order. You have a few days left of August 2023 using this host code, and that will be the gift. You just need to spend at least $50. All right, I wanted to point that out. So here are the stamp sets that I use in the moment, and I could have used one of these greetings, but I kind of needed a long and skinny greeting, and I need more like happy birthday and thank you cards than I do just regular greeting cards with inspirational messages. So I decided to use Go-To Greetings, which I love this stamp set because it has 4 of the most used greetings, and they have done it in a way that you can like choose the size of your image. This one's like very scripty. I used this one down here, but if I needed a smaller one, I could have gone smaller. So it just kind of depends what you need for any particular card. It's a really nice option to have. And I use happy birthday, thinking of you, and thank you quite a bit. So those are really good greetings to have in different sizes. The other thing I used this, these are the Stylish Shapes dies, and I love how they have this nice little stitching on them. It adds just a little accent to the die. I also used this is a big paper pack. It's got a lot of paper in it. It's 48 sheets, but it's 12 by 12. It's called Delightfully Eclectic. And it's just got a whole bunch of different patterns, florals, hearts, just fun patterns. And I used this pretty peacock paper with the hearts on it. I thought that just looked so yummy and fabulous with it. It just works out really well for this card as a background. So let's make this card. We're going to start off with a pretty peacock card base. I cut this earlier. It's a half sheet of cardstock that's 11 inches by 4 1/4. And I scored in half at the 5.5 inch mark, folded it in half. And this is not your typical store-bought card. Most of store-bought cards open on this side. I like to do a lot of my cards as a tent fold with the top, the fold being up at the top. And I cut a piece of this paper. There's already some hearts colored on here in that light pink called Bubble Bath. It's a new color. This piece is the same size as my card front, so 4¼ by 5½. And I will just take some glue. This is my Tombow glue. And I know people have asked me this, and I know I had this question come up recently. People ask me all the time about this and why I keep my glue upside down in a jar. And basically, it just stays upside down in a jar. I don't cap it ever. And unless I'm going away for a long time, I pretty much use the glue almost every single day. So it just keeps the glue at the bottom where it needs to squeeze out. And yeah, some glue will ooze out at the bottom. But a baby food jar would work great for this. This jar had honey in it. I like the shape of it, but baby food jar would work, I think, really well for this. And Tombow glue is just the most awesome glue that I use for all of my projects. So I'm just going to set this aside and we're going to work on this image because that's going to take us the longest time. So I have a piece of basic white that I cut to 2 7/8 by 4½. And we're going to take this image from the In the Moment stamp set. I had to choose the one with the dog on it because it's just so cute. I'm going to use Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm just making sure that I've got a good covering of the black ink all over the place. Just peek, make sure. You want to use a water-based ink when you're using Stampin' Blends because you don't want to use an ink like a waterproof ink when you're doing that. So I'm just trying to line up and see approximately where I stamped my other one. I think that's about the same. Okay, that's pretty good. So let me just see. I'll tell you exactly how far down I stamped this just in case. It's hard sometimes to tell. It's about just a little bit more than 1/2 inch down from the top. And that I did because I want to put this greeting down here at the bottom. If you're not putting a greeting on here, then of course you would want to you could make this a little smaller. But I like having that greeting layered at the bottom. So let's grab our Stampin' Blends, and I've got a bunch of colors that I used here. It's kind of deceiving how many colors I used, but let's start right up at the top. And I want you to notice one thing that I did. I'm not an expert colorer, but sometimes you have to stop yourself from coloring everything on your scene because it just becomes too overwhelming. There are places where there is white, so you don't want to color everything. I'm going to use the light wild wheat for the hair. I'm doing this color for the hair because it is, I guess, a little bit close to my hair color, so I'm trying to mimic what I have. Now, if you're looking for different colors of hair, I would suggest making yourself up a chart like I did, and this is on my blog. It's also down below. There'll be a link to it in the description of this video. It's my coloring chart, and what you do is as you collect your Stampin' Blends, you color in the spots that you have. It's a nice reference tool. It gives you the item numbers, the color name, the light and the dark, and down here we have our natural tones, and these are good for skin tones and for hair color. And hey, you might have colored hair, so you might not have in the browns or black or whatever color your hair. You might have color in your hair. You might have purple or pink or whatever. Choose your colors from here, and it's just really easy to do. As you gradually get the colors, then you can add them onto this chart. I also put little labels on the ends of my Stampin' Blends, and that chart is also listed down below and on my blog. Okay, so that was wild wheat. We're going to start at the top, and then we're going to use, this is the light colored Stampin' Blends. They're down here in the natural tones. Right here, I'm using the 900. I just held this up to my skin, and I just decided that this was going to be the color. I don't know if I'm a good color guesser. So that's going to be the face and neck, and then I'm going to do the hand. And there's a little tiny bit right here, which could be a sock or it could be skin, but I've thought it was skin. It's a slouchy sock. So those are my next colors. Let's do the leggings next, and I'm going to use boho blue light, and I'm just going to come in and start coloring. And I'm not using the dark on this. I'm just coming in and doing the pants, whatever they are. They look like maybe pajama pants. They look like they're very soft. So I'm coming in. There's a little bit down here. That is kind of the opening of the pants. That will also be blue. Then you can come over. This is the easiest way to do shading, using the same color, because it's not scary to do this. I'm just using the lines of that are already on there, that the artist already put into the stamped image, and I'm just going over them with the same color. It will just darken that area just a little bit, but it's a very easy way to do shading, so it's not scary because it's just the same color. All right, so next, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're also going to do the socks right here, the toes of the socks. And then the socks are going to be white. I mean, sometimes it's hard because you see that white area and you want to color it in, the socks, but don't. Just leave it white. Leave some things white, and that's okay. So next, let's do the blanket. And I'm going to use Bubble Bath, and this is dark Bubble Bath. I'm going to use the brush tip, so I'm going to hold it on the side a little bit. You're just going to want to make sure that you don't color the dog pink, unless you want a pink dog, in which case go to town. And you'll just make sure that you're hitting the area that would be this beautiful, in my case, pink blanket. So if you don't like my color choices, just substitute out whatever colors you like. I actually, when I went to color this, I went online and I did look. There is a little tiny spot in between the dog's legs right here that's also pink. I did look at how people colored their images, and then I used that as a guide, but I went totally different. So it just kind of helped me see what other people had done, and then I could make some decisions based on that. Sometimes it just helps to look at some other images, and then you can kind of decide from them. All right, the dog is looking a little sad, so let's do the dog next. I thought this was probably some type of Jack Russell Terrier. So I did look up some pictures of Jack Russell Terriers, and they tend to have the brown patches around the eyes. So I use Crumb Cake Dark here. And those patches are drawn right in. And that's all I'm doing for the darker brown. I will take my Crumb Cake Light, and I am just going to draw over the lines of the dog just a little bit, the shading that was naturally in the image of the dog. I just lightly go over that, and that's all I'm going to do to color this dog. I don't want to over color the dog because Jack Russells are often white, so I can leave him white. It's okay to leave white space. Okay, next let's do this book. And I debated, actually, in my trial image, I had gone and done Pretty Peacock, but it was really dark. And you notice on here, I've kind of used the same intensity of marker all the way through, or Stampin' Blends. I didn't want to over color. There are some blends that are really, really dark, so I'm opting to choose like medium to light shades. So I went a shade lighter, and I'm doing Lost Lagoon. And the pages of most books are white, so I'm going to avoid coloring the area that would be the where the pages are. I will do the spine of the book. And you know, the blends really kind of take care of themselves because they eliminate those little dots that you have with regular markers. If you want, you can shade a little bit near the bottom, because usually light comes from above. So we're moving right along. Okay, so I wanted to do the sheets. I think this is like a bed. And so I wanted a really, really light color. So I thought I'd go with soft seafoam. So basically I'm going to take the brush tip, and I'm just going to brush along where the lines are. And that's it. I'm not going to go really wild with my coloring. It's just a tiny bit. And then up at the top here, I don't know what this is. It could be a pillow, but I'm thinking it's kind of the same as the sheets. So I'm also going to do a little bit like that. And I want you to see how I've left a lot of white space, and it looks fine. All right, last thing, there's this piece up here. I think this is probably maybe part of the bed frame, another pillow or something. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing I did with the soft seafoam. This is Smoky Slate Light. So I'm just going to come in and hit this just a bit. But again, I am leaving some white. So things that I left white are the coffee mug. I left that white. The socks, the sheets down here, I left a lot of white. I didn't color all the way down. The dog is white. And then I left some white space up in this area, the smoky slate and soft seafoam and the book. So you don't have to color everything. In fact, I think it looks better when you don't. Just my opinion, but I think it just does. All right, so let's take this piece and we're going to adhere it to the card front. All right, so I'm going in probably about 3/8 of an inch from this side, and then I'm going to center it from top to bottom. So there's probably about 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here, and 3/8 of an inch here. Probably the best thing, make sure this is straight on this side. All right, we've got this last thing to stamp over here. So for this, I'm going to use my go-to gradings, the Happy Birthday. I'm going with a lighter shade again. I'm not doing Pretty Peacock. You could if you wanted a darker. This is Lost Lagoon. And I'm just going to ink this up and stamp it in the center of some soft seafoam cardstock. I like the way that looks. And we can take our mini boss, because this is not a big area. Let's open this up, and we need some plates to go through. Normally this would be a number 1 plate, but my machine's really tight, so I use my number 3 plate. It comes with the machine, and a clear plate, which is a number 2, and then we'll have another clear plate on top. We're gonna put this on here and grab our banner from these were the Stylish Shapes dies. And I just want to make sure that this is straight, and I'm going to pin this down with a little bit of labeling and cover up tape. This is basically like the top of a post-it note. So if you don't have this, use the top of a post-it note. If you find you're grabbing post-it notes a lot to do this, then grab yourself a roll of this labeling and cover up tape. Let me just put that on there. And we will run this through our machine. Okay. Easy peasy. I still remember the first time I ran this through, and it was not good because these plates did not work very well because I was using the thicker number 1 plate, and my machine was super tight. And just by switching out that 1 plate, man, this machine is awesome now. Whoops, sorry for the loud noises. All right, we've got our happy birthday. So we're going to come in and just adhere it to the side right here, or the bottom. I'll just kind of want enough room for putting a bow on here. Okay. That looks so good. I'm glad, like, I took the soft seafoam color from here and I added it down below, and it just makes me happy. I don't know why this card makes me so happy. Last night while I was making it, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Some days cards just work out really well. I'm going to add this little bow. I tied it with baker's twine earlier. Little dot. Glue. Glue works well for baker's twine, at least this Tombow glue does, because it's adhering to the little fibers. Just press on there for just a little bit and it should adhere down nicely. And then the last thing we're going to do is use some iridescent rhinestone jewels. My favorite embellishment ever. You can color them or just use them plain. I've got some left on this sheet right here, so let's use these up first. Okay. So I'm just going to pop some down here and then one up here. And that's it. That's all there is to this card. It is just not hard at all. But if you love to color, then the in the moment images are just really fun. And just remember, no matter which one of these you use, leave yourself a little bit of white space. Not everything needs to be colored. Some things can be left so that they're not colored, and I think it actually looks nicer. I wouldn't want to like pull up anyone's images online and say, oh, I like mine better or anything like that. Everyone has their personal style, and a good thing for me to remember is before we had Stampin' Blends, we used to do a lot of watercoloring, and I liked my watercoloring really light, and a lot of my stampers in my class just really wanted that really dark saturated look. And it's just a personal preference. You know, some people want the lighter look like I do, and some people want the saturated look. So it just kind of depends what you want. Some people might look at this and go, Brenda, you could have colored here and there. But so, you know, go online, have a look at how people have colored this image, and then come up with your own color palette for doing this, or copy mine. I'm perfectly happy for you if you want to copy mine. All right, I am coming back over to you guys. I hope you liked that card. And you know, the bones of the card, you remember, let's go back to the original card right here. I'm going to just pop this over here to the side. I'm going to hold up my card. So you see on the original card, there are 2 layers that I deleted. One is behind the koala. I didn't do one behind my person. I didn't think it needed it on my card. I like a clean and simple style. There was also, Yolanda's really good. She does our sketches. She realized that there was another piece right behind the happy birthday. There's a tiny, teeny little layer behind there. But I didn't want that layer, so I eliminated it. So, you know, you can go clean and simple, or you can go to town. Both of these cards are pretty. in their own right, but you can decide how much detail you want. And if you're doing a sketch like this, if you don't like that background layer, then just take it out. The sketch is like a starting point. And even though these cards come from, like, they have the same bone structure, they look completely different, right? They just, I love that about these Casing Tuesdays, because you get completely different looking cards at the end of it all. So that is like super fun. All right, I want to share one more time. This is my host code for the month. Just remember, if you spend $50 and use this host code, then you can get those cute star trinkets embellishments. They will be mailed out in September. If you like my video, please give it a like, or subscribe to my Facebook or YouTube, and that will help me get seen by more people. I really, really appreciate that. So I already talked to a bunch of you this morning, and it is a slow morning, so I just wanted to say hello to Dee, who joined us. It's good to see you here, Dee. Janine says she prefers the design, my design, to the original because it's clean and simple, my favorite style. You know what? And that's great. And I'm glad you love the clean and simple style. But don't feel bad if your style has more layers to it, because the interesting thing is I want you to go over to our Facebook group. And I know some of you have already been there, but go over to the Facebook group and see how many different ways this card is done. And you'll see that there are some people that have a lot of layers and they thrive on that. And it's beautiful. They make beautiful cards. And then there's some people like me who like to be a little bit more clean and simple. And the other thing I find really interesting is the challenges that I find easy, some people find really hard. So we all have different brains, and we all have brains that light up in different ways for whatever reason. You know, I don't know why our brains light up for different reasons, but it's okay. It's okay not to like my style, and it's okay to like my style. So don't feel like I'm saying one style is better than the other. It's just, this is what makes me happy. So do something that makes you happy. I want to see your card. So post it over on our Facebook group. Everything, if I'm talking about something, it is probably down in the description of this video. So look there first. And if you don't find what you're looking for, contact me and I will get back to you and let you know how to find things. All right, I hope you have a great week. I will be back on Friday, probably with a 3D. I haven't designed yet what I'm doing this week. It's kind of like always like a fun surprise. Like I kind of sometimes have an idea of where I'm going this week. Actually, I have looked at a bundle that I kind of want to use. So we'll see if I'm able to come up with a design with this bundle. And then we'll just go from there. I always like to surprise myself too, to see what I come up with. I am a bit of a planner, but not when it comes to my stamping. I think that part of my brain is different, and I can't be too structured with it. Otherwise, I can't be creative. So that's what works for me. All right, everyone, have a great week. I hope to see you on Friday on my YouTube channel. I will try and send out an email before I go live. So if you're on my email list, you'll get a bit of a warning. It should be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, everyone, have a great day until then. Take care. Bye-bye.